for legit.
I wore pants for the first time in weeks.
I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Small victories.
I had to put on real clothes for the first time since March. It feels weird.
Every little bit helps.
But we are here today to talk about the finalists for our 2021 autoTRADER.ca awards. And this is basically the biggest and best awards we've ever done.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it gets better every year.
Yeah, and it's something that we take really seriously, right? It's our whole, let's say our modus operandi is to speak to consumers, right? When, we love reviewing cars, we love evaluating cars, but really we also love giving Canadians advice.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is all about to me is, more than 20 experts from across the country, putting our heads together virtually this year, tabulating all of the scores to let you guys know what are the best vehicles you can buy.
Yeah, and so our awards are kind of like the ultimate expression of expert advice. And so these are cars that us and our experts would feel really confident recommending to their friends and family, but also like everyday consumers. And so we really built these awards to be very consumer friendly. You'll notice there's no like supercar category or anything like that, just because like we don't think that's relevant to most people, so we don't include that kind of stuff. But we have 27 categories in total, 19 for our finalists. We're not going to go through all of them today because you guys are busy and you probably have stuff to do. But if you want more information on cars that we mentioned today, or you want to listen, or you want to look at the rest of the finalists, you can go to autoTRADER.ca/awards. And all the information will be there about our awards, our jury. You can read about what makes our awards so unique.
And that full comprehensive list of all the finalists. And like Jody said, we're going to get into some of them, not all of them, because it is pretty time consuming. They are long list. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, one thing you're going to notice that's a big difference between our awards and most others is that instead of just looking at new or significantly updated vehicles for a given model year, we look at all of them, because to us, that's what's relevant to you as a consumer. You're not necessarily out there just saying, hey, I want to buy the newest of the new. You're just saying, I want the best bang for my buck in a particular segment.
Exactly.
And so we make sure to compare the newest to vehicles that have been on the market for a few years. It doesn't matter. As long as it's new, it's still available, we're going to consider it for our awards. Yeah,
and just because a car is brand new, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the best. So we think it's important to look at every single car in the marketplace. That means we're looking at over 350 different car models when our experts are voting for these awards. And so today we're going to be talking about our finalists. Our experts considered every single car, voted for their top 5 to advance to the final stage of voting. We will announce the final winners on February 1st of 2021, which feels like a long time from now, but it'll creep up on you.
It's pretty, like I said, it's exciting. I get really, jazzed up about this stuff because especially it's kind of nice for us to look back over the course of the last year, all the different vehicles that we've driven, and you really start to think about them in a new light or remember certain things about different vehicles. And I'll tell you right now, so sometimes they're a surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes I don't necessarily agree, but that's the point of this is that, it's not up to me, it's not up to Jody, it's up to all of us, over 20 experts across the country voting, and that gives us that final result that we say, hey, well, there's a reason why these have won, right? So I might not like a certain aspect of a vehicle, but, compared to the rest of the segment and for what our colleagues have to say about it, that it ends up, kind of weighing in favor of that particular vehicle. So, as much as I am excited to get to the actual award winners in February, right now I'm very excited about all of these shortlist finalists that we have.
Yeah, it's going to be super awesome. And this year we also have a Canada's Choice Awards. So last year we called it the People's Choice Awards. This year it's the Canada's Choice Awards. So that kind of gives you guys the power to vote on the cars that you trust the most. There's going to be a huge giveaway. We can't tell you what it is just yet. But it is very exciting, and it is the biggest giveaway we've ever done. And so if you go to autoTRADER.ca/awards, you can actually sign up for a notification to be reminded when voting begins. And basically, like, the more you can come back and vote every day, and the more you vote, the more entries you get into that big giveaway. And I'm so excited to tell you what it is. I'm sorry to tease you, but we can't tell you just yet.
And then the other thing is, so obviously there's tons of links all over the site, all over that awards page. But don't forget, you can also go to autotrader.ca/expert to read whether a vehicle that's on that short list for a particular category is there or not. You can always check out the reviews, because we have expert reviews, you know, spanning all model years. We've got used reviews as well. So there's lots. It's a great resource. I genuinely do believe that it's a great resource for consumers. If you're looking to, you know, make your dollar go the furthest, why not go to a kind of one-stop shop?
For sure.
And, you know, and then, hey, why not head over to the autotrader.ca marketplace and check out all of the great vehicles that are for sale there. And we do have some great stuff there, including our Price IQ.
Yep.
So you can keep an eye on things and know whether you're getting, you know, that ultimate bang for your buck. I really like that tool. I used it when I bought my car earlier this year, and it is handy because it just gives you that sense of like, hey, am I getting a good?
It's just some extra confidence.
Yeah.
We're all about giving consumers more confidence, which is the whole reason why we do these awards anyway. And so if you're joining us today on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed and liked and followed, make sure you do all of that stuff. I kind of have to mention it just because, like, we need those likes. It really helps.
And I do it on YouTube all the time, so it's your turn. I feel
true.
like I'm always the one who says, like, make sure you hit the like,
yeah,
subscribe, and, you know,
yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Some friends subscribe, some don't.
I mean, I don't even think my mom is subscribed, but I have to tell her to do that.
I'd appreciate it.
I'll tell her.
Okay.
I'll tell her.
Should we get to some of these?
Okay. Let's start with our finalists for minivans. You're a big minivan fan.
Mini fan, yeah. Yeah, you know, it's the minivan segment is such an interesting one, because when we were growing up, they were huge. Everyone, that's what you bought.
My dad had one.
Same.
Yep.
And, you know, I still think they're great. It's a shrinking segment, but for 2021, it's really interesting to see that most of the minivan market is either significantly refreshed or new.
Right. And there's not a lot of them left. I think there's 5. And so that means they all automatically made it to the final round of voting, which is really interesting.
It's also important to note that, yes, by default, they all made it, but they're also all very good for their own reasons. Earlier this year, I reviewed the Honda Odyssey. Great vehicle. We've got a new Toyota Sienna that has just hit the market. It's dedicated hybrid now, all-wheel drive. I mean, I'm going to be driving one in the near future, and I'm very excited about it. New Kia Sedona that's on the way.
Yep, and it looks crazy.
It does. And then we've also got Ontario's finest. We've got the Chrysler Pacifica and the Grand Caravan.
Right, and that's the only one available as a plug-in hybrid right now.
Yeah.
And it also gains all-wheel drive this year as an option.
And it looks cool.
It does look really cool, and the fact that it's built here is also awesome.
Yeah, built in Windsor. I love that.
Yeah, and so, like, minivans, I know they get a lot of hate, but, like, there is nothing, if you need to haul people and stuff, there is nothing more practical than a minivan.
Remember, just before the pandemic, a bunch of us got together, and there was literally 8 of us. We went out for pizza.
That's right.
We went out for ice cream, and there was literally 8 of us in that van.
Back when that was okay.
Yeah, but there's no, like, you can't. What other vehicle could do that? Even a Suburban or an Expedition, great vehicles. Yeah. I wouldn't want to have 8 of us in there.
8 full-size adults, and we were all comfortable.
7 plus
I'm a small adult, so that's,
we need to be clear, right?
But we were all comfortable.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And so that's. I mean, it's a dying segment, but it is still very relevant to Canadians and families.
Yeah.
And even tradespeople often go for minivans too, because it's just so pretty, right?
Now, speaking of shrinking segments, subcompact cars.
Yes. So last year, the Honda Fit won as not only our best overall car, but our best subcompact car. Our experts love it because it is practical.
2 of them own Fits, I believe.
Yep, that's true. And it is like, not too many people need more car than that.
Yeah.
And it's discontinued for 2021, so it wasn't eligible for this year's award.
It's very, very upsetting, especially because there is a new Fit for 2021 in other markets. Canada is not included. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Again, the HRV that it shares so much with is a great vehicle. It's just the Fit has a little bit more character and a little bit more versatility, I would say. And the fact that it's gone just shows you how rapidly changing the automotive marketplace is as that shift to crossovers is kind of accelerating.
Yeah, and I think that's not the only one that was discontinued. Like the Honda Accent is now gone. The Micra is gone.
Yeah, it's really a shame to see. But with that being said, there are still some great subcompacts on there, including a new Nissan Versa sedan that's upcoming. And that is kind of unique in the sense that there's a new subcompact car on the marketplace when so many others are disappearing, and Nissan is bringing a new one. You know, so it's cool to see, but again, it is a I don't want to say a dying segment, but it's definitely getting smaller.
It's shrinking for sure. I think as more consumers start to favor SUVs, and you know, the pricing is a bit more for SUVs, and so you lose that, you know, that value aspect.
Yeah, where, you know, there's some great, you know, super affordable cars that we kind of, you know, grew up on as our first cars, or lots of our friends drove these kind of, you know, city cars that are just not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
But again, you know, so if we're talking about what replaces those subcompact crossovers, and there are some great ones this year as well.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. So what's on our list of
let's take a
finalists
quick look
here? I gotta flip through my clipboard.
Okay, we have this segment is actually, it is hotly contested.
It is.
And I don't know the final award winner yet, which one of these finalists won, but I wouldn't be able to tell you. I wouldn't be able to guess. I wouldn't want to bet on it.
So here's what made it to the final round of voting. The Mini Cooper 3-door or 5-door. We have.
Wait, I thought we were talking about subcompact crossovers.
Crossovers? Oh, okay. I was talking about regular.
No, we're over cars now.
Okay, so we moved on then. I didn't get the memo. So actually, we have a couple new entrants this year.
Yeah.
So the Chevrolet Trailblazer came out this year. It is a fun, very stylish little crossover. I drove it. It looks really cool. It comes in that really nice, like bright blue color, which I love. The other new one for this year is the Kia Seltos.
So good.
Which is so good.
So good.
You reviewed it recently.
Yeah,
a lot of good
couple
things
weeks
to say
ago,
about
and
it.
it was just, I was blown away at, you know, the versatility of it, the space inside. They've, you know, Kia's designers have done a great job of making it look cool and also combining that with outstanding space inside. And then another new one, Mazda CX-30.
Right, and that's kind of like an in-betweener for them as well, right?
Yeah, and then there's also the Subaru Crosstrek that has a new engine. Well, it's not really new. You know, it's just brought over from others in the lineup, like the Forester and the
Outback. But it addresses a problem that a lot of people had with
gutless.
It was, they got a lot of feedback that it was very slow.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy that they're listening to consumers and they've added that more powerful engine.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks good. It has like a very slight facelift, but it looks great.
And it's the only one that comes standard with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's, you know, that's a huge thing in Subaru's favor. And, you know, full disclosure, I used to work for Subaru Canada in a past life. And, you know, that all-wheel drive system isn't just a calling card for a marketing tool. It's actually great. Yeah. You know, it's one of the only brands that offers full-time all-wheel drive. The fact that it's standard in everything except for the BRZ, which is also new. We just saw this week.
True.
Not on our short list, but still cool to see that, you know, such a niche vehicle is returning to the market for an updated go.
Yeah, and this actually was a pretty big year for sports cars, since we're already on this topic.
Yeah.
The Supra came out this year, which is really exciting.
I dig it a lot. Same thing. Drove one this summer, and it's the 2021 version. So it came out for 2020, and then for 2021, Toyota introduced the 4-cylinder that's sold in Europe and in Japan, and so it gave the 6-cylinder a bump in output. Man, so good. So much fun to drive.
Yeah.
382 horsepower, I think. And I never thought a car like that could be kind of underrated, but it doesn't really seem to get the credit that it deserves. But it's so cool.
I think the expectations were so high, and like Toyota really had the cars kind of stacked against them because that nameplate had such big shoes to fill, right?
Sure.
And so you're not going to make anyone happy. But I think for performance enthusiasts, the fact that it's even here is something to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so the Supra made it onto our list for finalists in the category of performance cars over 50K.
Yeah.
Which is like a crazy segment to compete in because it's up against stuff like the Mercedes AMG GT.
Yeah, Porsche 911, which I also drove this summer. You know, another fantastic car, and you know, Porsche 718 series, so the Boxster and Cayman, again, just great cars.
Also, the new Corvette is there.
Yeah. And right in that price range too.
Yeah.
That is another one that, I mean, that one, you know, people have been raving about. So cool that I remember having a discussion with some friends, and including an unnamed autoTRADER.ca contributor who said there's no way, when the announcement was made, it's going to be mid-engine. There's no way it's going to be less than 6 figures. This is going to have to be $100,000 plus car.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, like Corvette's whole thing has been since the
value.
very beginning. Yeah, and sure enough, it hit, and it's right in that super range. 70 grand for a mid-engine sports car, you know, that does the run to 100K in like just over 3 seconds.
And it looks like it could be over 6 figures.
Oh my God,
because it looks
beautiful.
like a supercar.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. They've really done a great job with that.
Yeah, and I've been actually seeing a lot of them out in the wild, which
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see. So like, it's kind of, it must be validating for GM. Like they put so much effort into like revamping this
100%.
iconic sports car, and to
Yeah.
see people like responding so well to
Yeah.
it must be a really good feeling. So that's a really interesting segment. In kind of that similar vein, the green vehicle over 50K one is
Over
also
50K.
a very hotly contested one.
Yeah.
So many, this is a segment that just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year.
Oh my God.
And at first, the green vehicles were very limited to like the mainstream brands.
Yeah.
Now all the luxury brands are getting in on it. And
again, there are some good ones.
Oh yeah,
Good
so
ones.
Taycan made it onto our list of finalists.
Porsche Taycan is a great one. I spent quite a bit of time with the Taycan this summer, and wow, that just blew my mind. Not just because of, you know, the outright performance and the technology, but it was one of those things like, remember Sam wrote that Nissan Leaf review for us? Sam McEachran, great, one of our great contributors, wrote this review of the Leaf and talked about hypermiling it. And it's true, that's what you expect to do in a, you know, affordable EV like that. The same thing happened in the Taycan. As much as I love blasting down country roads in that thing, I also loved, I was like laughing, like watching that range climb. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like,
you never see the range go up.
oh my God. It was just, you know, and that to me, you know, it's just a whole other dimension of enjoyment in a vehicle like that, I think it's great.
I mean, it's also cool because it's so dual purpose in that sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Taycan made it onto our list of finalists because it really moves the needle forward for like not only EVs, but like I think Porsche in general.
Porsche in general, you know, sports sedans, like there's so many different ways that you could look at it and say, yeah, that raised the bar for this, that raised the bar for that. And then there are some other niche ones on there, like the Polestar 2 that you drove not too long ago.
That's right, yeah. It's so Polestar's first full EV. So the brand is an offshoot of Volvo, and it's really impressive. Like it's basically their Model 3 competitor.
And it looks cool too.
Yeah, it's got a weird body style. Like it's like a jacked up sedan slash crossover.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like, remember the Volvo S60 cross country? So it was like the raised version of the sedan.
Yeah.
It kind of had that look, huge wheels, and it got those like Volvo signatures, like the grille. So you can tell that it's a Volvo, but you got a lot of questions when you're like, what is this thing? You know?
So I was actually driving the Polestar 1.
Oh,
and
yeah.
a lot of people were asking me about that. And that's also just a wild looking car. And so a lot of that technology that was in the Polestar 1 kind of trickled down to the Polestar 2. So although it's like their more entry level model, it still gets a lot of that same tech.
And you know, again, it's like you got to start somewhere, and it's cool to see that trickle down, you know, and you're seeing it with other brands as well, but it's just cool for Volvo's really pushing hard into that. You know, every model in the lineup is either currently or going to be available, you know, with a plug, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or a dedicated electric. And so that Polestar brand being like the halo for the entire product range is cool to see that technology and then see it make its way into other vehicles.
Yeah, so that segment, what else made it onto our finalist list? So the Audi E-Tron.
Very cool.
Very good. I mean, it's an Audi, so like the build quality was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it just drove really nicely.
Yeah, and it looks cool.
It does look cool.
I think.
And I like it because it doesn't look too much like an EV, if you know what I mean? Like it could be any SUV.
And some of the colors that you can get that thing in are so cool.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that they don't call it a coupe.
That's true.
Right? So many of those, like, you know, like Sportback crossovers, it's like in vogue to call them coupes. And like, as much as it has that look, at least they don't market it as
No,
such.
Audi always calls them Sportbacks.
Sportbacks, yeah.
Which is also kind of confusing. But
Well,
it's
fair,
not a coupe.
but yeah.
The other car in that category that's a finalist is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which I know is very controversial,
So,
but people are excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's one of those things. It feels like a great opportunity to kind of bring full electrification to the masses.
Also on the performance end of things, so like the Taycan brought it to obviously like luxury car makers. For the Ford Mustang Mach-E, I feel like it brings that performance EV part to, you know, the mainstream audience.
Yeah,
even though the price is over 50K, I still think the fact that it's wearing a Ford badge and that it's like rear wheel drive.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Dustin. Our managing editor, Dustin Woods, is still very emotional about the Mustang. He said, diehard Mustang
Yeah.
guy. We call him Dustang. He hates it, understandably so. And man, he's like not totally thrilled about it, but he also admitted that it's like, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he just has an issue with calling it a Mustang,
Yeah.
and it's actually really funny. So my boyfriend's kids saw the poster, you know, in Oakville. They had the big poster on the Ford HQ, and they were like, "But that doesn't even look like a Mustang. Why would they call it that?" And they're like 10 years old. So it was funny to me that even like some 10-year-olds have that opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's controversial, but I think kind of in a good way. At least it gets people talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So you know, we'll see what that's like kind of a few years down the road. But I'm hopeful. And
I mean, the Mach-E is exciting because it has a ton of range. It's going to be capable of like super fast charging.
Yeah.
They're just like really moving the needle forward again, and like that kind of, you know, new benchmark is what we're always looking for when voting for finalists.
Yeah,
you're looking for cars not only, you know, raise the bar for their own automaker for the segment as a whole, right?
And I think that's going to happen.
That's how cars keep getting better. Yeah, this like game of one-upmanship is like really huge in the automotive.
What else? Trucks.
Trucks is a big one. I mean, trucks, again, year after year, most popular selling segment in the country.
Oh my gosh, it's
Canadians
crazy.
love their
top
trucks.
top three vehicles, best-selling vehicles are the Ram 1500, the Ford F-150, and the Silverado and the Sierra.
Yeah, and so because there are not too many half-ton trucks on the market right now, so I think that's another segment where all of them made it into our list of finalists.
But again, you know, don't misread that. That doesn't mean it's like, oh, we have to shove them in there. They're all
really good.
They're good. And, you know, F-150's new.
Yep.
Ram 1500 was new for last year. That won our truck of the year last year.
They've added some features though. And so every year the truck set just gets more and more competitive. So like this year, Ford F-150 adds a hybrid model.
Yeah.
The Ram added a fancy new tailgate.
And
came out with like the TRX.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going on in that segment right now.
And like lots of diesels, which I'm happy to see personally. You know, I think this is the first time, maybe ever, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time you've been able to get all three of the big three, or technically four, with a diesel. The Silverado, the Sierra, those both have a great inline six. I drove one of those earlier this year. The Ram Eco Diesel, and the Ford F-150 also has a diesel. That choice, it's crazy how many different engines you can get under the hoods, especially the F-150. It seems like just an endless number of configurations are available.
Yeah, and now adding the hybrid into the mix is great. And then the hybrid actually brings a whole bunch of new features, like a removable power generator.
Yeah, that stuff I think is really cool too. That's going to be great. You know, let's say if you're a contractor and you're on the fence, you like having your V8, and I get that totally. But this might be able to sway some people to say, hey, well, you know, I can plug in all of my tools directly into my truck, you know, so it's like there's something in favor of buying the hybrid.
Yeah, and so they're really not marketing the new hybrid truck as a fuel efficiency thing. They're really marketing it as like a productivity thing.
Absolutely.
And so they're trying to make that truck work harder for you. They're trying to make it smarter. And so it's got all these like really cool features now where you could like recline the front seat all the way back.
And it's got that really cool, the shifter, like can tuck into the console, and then you get like a desk.
Yeah, so you can put your laptop on. And
so cool. I mean, how many people do you know that work in their trucks, contractors or whatever, that they're always looking for a place to, you know, take their notes or fill out their invoices.
Or even like eat their lunch or something.
Yeah, it's cool that, you know, those to me are thoughtful. There's another cool thing with the F-150 that you can get on the tailgate, it's got like a ruler built into it and like clamp points. Again, it's just
use it as a workbench.
Super thoughtful stuff, you know, and that to me is like when the segment's so popular, it's just kind of like, you know, they're challenging each other to introduce new technology. It's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. And even with the Ram, so that new tailgate, it now opens like a barn door, so you can open it that way, or you could flip it down like a regular tailgate. So it's like, it just keeps getting better.
But GMC has, you know, the multi-pro tailgate in, you know, we don't want to neglect to talk about that. And I think it's coming to the Silverado as well. But it's cool that it can fold, and it's like a step, and so you can fold just a portion of it or the whole thing.
You can make it into a desk.
Yeah, and you can also like tailgates. I know the Honda Ridgeline did it years ago, but swing open, and now you can do that as well with the Ram. It's very cool that, you know, again, they're just challenging each other to try to find new ways, new innovations, and so that's another very competitive segment. Understand, truck loyalty is, you know, is a huge deal. So we're not here to disparage any of them. they're all great in their own rights, but it will be interesting to see which one wins because of how great that segment is, but then also, you know, how dedicated the fan base is.
Right, and like we didn't even mention the Toyota Tundra, which is also one of our finalists this year. People love the Tundra because of its reliability.
It's underrated, I would say. You know, it's one of those trucks that and Toyota knew that it was never going to be, you know, up there with the F-150, the Silverado, and the Ram 1500. You know, but for those who drive them, they love them because it's got that 5.7 liter V8. There's a lot to like about it. It's huge too. Tons of room inside, and it's a Toyota, like you said. It's, you know, you can drive that thing forever. And then we've got mid-sized trucks as well.
Yeah, so that's also a segment that, you know, a couple of years ago didn't have that many players in it. Now we have, you know, the full 5 finalists here.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention that if you guys want to ask us questions, like, let us know in the comments. We're going to be monitoring them, and we can try to answer your questions live. You can ask about our awards. If you need car advice in general, just let us know. We're here to help you. But yeah, so this year our finalists in the midsize trucks: Tacoma, we got the Colorado and GMC Canyon Twins, Honda Ridgeline, Jeep Gladiator, and the Ford Ranger.
All great.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's one of those, and it's, you know, those we've talked about it. I talked about it in my review of the Colorado, that it's like, you know, they are lifestyle vehicles more than anything else. But like you said, it's, you know, coming out of the recession, that segment was really down to like the Frontier and the Tacoma.
Right, and they were both so old.
And now we're, you know, back up to that point. It's full.
Yeah.
You have your, you know, pick, and you can buy something that's really lifestyle dedicated like the Gladiator, or something that's kind of dual purpose like the Tacoma or the Colorado.
And even within that segment, each of those trucks have a version that's more geared for off-roading, you know, and so like there's just so many options.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a cool one as well. What else?
What other segments?
Three-row SUVs?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, that one got, last year got a couple new entrants. This year doesn't have that many new ones.
No, but
it has some like refreshed, like updated ones.
Seriously updated ones. Either like full updates or, you know, significant refreshes. The Toyota Highlander is on there, and that's one of our finalists. Yep,
that is one of our finalists. Also, the fact that it comes with a hybrid is great.
Yeah. So good too.
Just nice to have all those different options. The Chevrolet Tahoe and GMC Yukon are on there.
And that again is one of those interesting things where it's like, it shows you the diversity of that 3-row segment, right? Then you've got kind of these traditional, you know, unibody ones, but then you still have room for these huge
like the body on frame truck-like ones. And they're really impressive. I drove them both, and they have a ton of new features, ton of room inside. They really leaned into the whole tech part of it. Lots of innovations.
And Dustin pointed out, you know, that I think with this new generation, GM really made a conscious effort to separate, you know, the Chevy from the GMC from the Cadillac. To really create that separation between them, so that when you're driving one or you're in the market for one, you know, okay, I'm buying this. It's not, I mean, they are, you know, they share so much in common, but at least they look and feel a little bit different.
Like mechanically, they're pretty identical, but like other than that, they look very different. Inside, they're completely different, and so it's really nice that now they have that separation.
And diesel.
That's true.
Diesel, you can get a diesel in those, which is cool.
Dan loves a diesel.
I do. I think they're great.
You don't have a lot of options left for diesel.
No, it's really, you know, that's something that's shrinking big time, but it's nice to see at least for full size. I just think, I look at it like when I drove that Sierra diesel this year, you know, I put almost 1,000 kilometers on that thing, and I averaged like 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers.
For a full size truck, that's bonkers.
It's insane.
So good.
Yeah. And then, okay, luxury 3-row.
Okay, that's another good one. So this year there was a new entrant. It is the Genesis GV80.
And that's crazy, because when you look at these awards, for the most part, you know, you have with smaller vehicles, like Jody said, you've got, you know, subcompact crossovers. We've got, you know, the Seltos, the CX-30, and those are new. The Trailblazer, those are brand new. But also when you look at them, they're based on other vehicles. So like the Kona, the Hyundai Kona, which is also one of our finalists, that's what the base of the Seltos is. But with the Genesis GV80, that's an all-new vehicle, ground up. developed.
And it's Genesis's first SUV, and so up till now they were just a sedan company, which these days just doesn't make sense because like literally everybody wants an SUV.
Yeah.
And so they finally came out with them, and not only does the GV80 like look really, really cool, but I think it really pushes the boundaries for like tech and features and even just driving dynamics. And so that one comes standard as a 2-row, but if you option up to the V6 engine, you get a 3rd row as standard.
Yeah.
And so that's competing with our other finalists on this list, like the BMW X7, Lincoln Aviator, Mercedes GLE, and the Cadillac Escalade. So like really powerhouse luxury SUVs.
And this, I think it's a great point to make, you know, as much as it sounds cliche, it's hard to buy a bad vehicle these days. There are, you know, it's just everything has gotten so good, but there are some that do better in certain areas than others, and so that's where it really comes down to us taking a look at these and you know, kind of really honing in on certain aspects of them. And the GV80, you know, tech would be the big one, right? Is that it does technology so well. But some of those other ones on the list are like that X7 is great. And
it's so good. And even like the Cadillac Escalade, I'm driving one right now, and it's fantastic. It's got so much tech in it, and just everywhere I drive it, people are checking it out and looking at it, which is so interesting.
It's a head turner for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of recaptured what the Escalade lost.
Yes.
You know, early on it was that vehicle, and then so many other premium brands came out with SUVs that it kind of fell to the wayside. But again, part of that plan with GM letting it stand out and also giving it that standout styling, I think has really helped to elevate it back to kind of what it was.
Yeah, I think so. And they're really pushing the envelope for tech too. So it has like the industry's biggest curved screen.
OLED, yeah.
And it's about this big.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it's so responsive and so great. And the other really cool feature I liked is that there's a fridge in the center console. You can fit like a 6-pack in there if you wanted to.
The Toyota Sienna has that too.
That's true.
We should point that out. We were at Toyota Canada's headquarters this summer for a walk around, and I thought it was going to be a cooler, you know, because you've been able to get console coolers, removable cooler bins. Pontiac Aztek.
No, it's built in.
But it's a proper like fridge. You could put ice cream. That's what you asked. She asked the vice president of Toyota Canada, could I put ice cream in there and would it stay frozen? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a dual, you could turn it into a freezer or a fridge, which for me, it really opens up the snacking opportunities, which is key.
Speaking of snacking opportunities, we've been rambling on for like half an hour.
Yes.
And I could use a snack.
Okay, Dan gets really crabby when he's hungry. Yes. So thank you so much for joining us today. It really means a lot to us that you made time on your busy day to watch our live stream.
Don't forget a couple things. One, big announcement about that big prize for the Canada's Choice Award. It really is huge. So stay tuned for that. And then also, like Jody said, February 1st, when we announce all of our segment winners, and then our overall car of the year, truck of the year, and SUV of the year.
And so again, if you want more information about our finalists, just go to autoTRADER.ca/awards. That has all the information on all of our finalists. You can learn about our judges. You can learn about what we're looking for when we're voting for these award-winning cars. It's all there. So thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you again on February 1st when we announce the winners.
Peace.
Bye.